Mabuhay, fellow human beings! This is the art of human beings being humans. Ronnie Protasio here. We are now in Module 4, the Humanities and the Filipino Personhood. At the end of this module, the learner should be able to define humanities, identify the different branches of the humanities, share insights on why humanities are important, situate Philippine arts in the global context, discover and deepen their identity through art with respect to their nationality, culture, and religion. In the previous module, we have started defining humanities. Let's add some more. The word humanities is derived from the Renaissance Latin expression studia humanitatis or study of humanities, a classical Latin word meaning, in addition to humanity, culture, refinement, education, and specifically an education befitting a cultivated man. Sa Filipino, ang katumbas nito ay pagpapakatao, pagkatao, o pagiging tao. To be human is to show or to have qualities like rationality, kindness, and tenderness. Kaya kung hindi mo taglay ang mga katangiang ito, ligwak ang pagkatao mo. Humanities is a broad discipline with many branches. Do you remember the 4 branches of humanistic discipline? Yes, they are history, language, philosophy, and art. Humanities is the study of mankind and how people shape the world they live in. It is the knowledge concerned with human development. It enriches man's culture and social design and potentials. It is the study of the past events that enables us to record findings on human development. Why do we study humanities? We study humanities because we want to pursue meaning and knowledge. As Benjamin Franklin said, an investment in knowledge pays the best interest. Employers want students with a broader range of skills. The humanities are the cornerstone of a well-rounded education. The humanities enable us to expand our horizons. The humanities bring together the past, the present, and the future. The study of humanities helps us make sense of our lives and our world. These are the reasons why we study humanities in school. Now, why are the humanities important? The study of humanities helps students become successful, fulfilled, autonomous thinkers, and contributing citizens. Humanities education can put political and social issues into perspective and provide new perspectives in our values and beliefs. According to Cesar Chavez, a human rights activist and an advocate of nonviolence, students must have initiative. They should not be mere imitators. They should learn to think and act for themselves and be free. Now, let's move forward, my fellow human beings. According to Filipino anthropologist Prospero Covar, the Filipino personhood has a biological and a cultural aspect. The biological aspect is our katauhan, while the cultural aspect is our pagkatao. If you are born as a human being and say and do things that human beings do, our katauhan becomes our personality. Becoming a human being entails a process. The result of that process is our personhood or pagkatao. As the Filipino saying goes, madaling maging tao, mahirap pagpakatao. It is easy to be a person, it's hard to become a human being. Therefore, pagpapakatao is the process by which one becomes a human being. Now, how does a human being become a Filipino? Professor Covar compared the Filipino personhood to the manunggul jar. What could be his reasons? What do the jar and the Filipino personhood have in common? Here is a clue. Both came from clay. You can read the legend of the three races on page 7 of our module and find out what the jar and the Filipino personhood have in common. Now, here's a historical fact. The Manunggul jar is a burial jar excavated from a Neolithic burial site in the Manunggul Cave of the Tabud Caves at Lipuon Point in Palawan, Philippines. It dates from 890 to 710 BC. And the two prominent figures at the top of the handle of its cover represent the journey of the soul to the afterlife. The Manunggul jar is displayed at the Philippine National Museum of Anthropology. It is widely acknowledged to be one of the finest Philippine pre-colonial artworks ever produced and is considered a masterpiece of Philippine ceramics. It is made from clay with some sand soil. This is a proof that we are already civilized before the coming of the Spaniards. Now, moving on, my fellow human beings, according to Mr. Cover, the Manunggul jar and the Filipino personhood has things in common. Firstly, both came from clay and brown in color. Remember the story of Kabunyan in the legend of the three races? Secondly, both imply a journey or a process to complete. Cover also described pagpapakatao as a process. Lastly, both have the concepts of labas, loob, and lalim. Cover's concept of personality or pagkatao applies both to the Manunggul jar and Filipino personhood. According to his article, the jar and the Filipino personhood have characteristic traits following the concepts of labas, external or physical characteristics, loob, internal, and lalim, spiritual. Labas ng pagkatao refers to the external physical characteristic traits like the color of the skin, the height, the distinct nose, and the physical build of a person. Loob ng pagkatao refers to the intellectual, emotional, and moral characteristic traits of a person. And lalim ng pagkatao refers to the spiritual characteristic traits of a person and his reverence to spiritual beings. These characteristic traits are related in a non-dualistic way. In spirituality, non-dualism, also called non-duality, means not two or one undivided without a second. In non-dualism, there is no difference between what is seen as you and what is seen as not you. There is only one. In other words, what is external can also be seen internally and spiritually. These traits cannot be separated, like Narda and Darna, who are two beings in one person. Here are some examples of non-dualism relations of labas, loob, and lalim. If we see a person with broad forehead, we connect this with being intelligent. The same is true with a person looking at you with eyebrows almost crossing each other. We would easily think that the person is angry at you, or he is a brave person. When a person doesn't remove his eyes from you, maybe that person has feelings for you. When we say a person has a bad mouth, we can easily judge that he is fond of saying foul words. The same is true with lalim and spirituality. When you say the person has a clean spirit, it could mean that the person has a clear conscience. Non-dualism also works with Filipino psychology. The external hipo can be felt internally in dama. Pigil is external. Timpik is internal. Dinig is external. Ulinig is internal. Tawa is external. Tuwa is internal. Saya is external. Ligaya is internal. Sarap is external. Ginhawa is internal. So, my fellow human beings, that is the Filipino concept of humanities. Very much different from the Western concept, right? Because for us Filipinos, pagpapakatao or being human is a process of how a human being becomes a Filipino. Not an easy thing to achieve, right? Because in the study of humanities as pagpapakatao, it is important for us to discover and realize our own identity as Filipinos. Art is the best way to discover who the Filipino is. That's according to Felipe de Leon Jr. in his article Defining the Filipino Through the Arts. By doing so, we can build a strong cultural identity. Cultural identity is the worldview of values, belief systems, knowledge, skills and practices, core principles and ideas shared by a society. According to Felipe de Leon, cultural identity is a sine qua non for becoming active in the world and a source of social empowerment. Sine qua non means an essential condition, a thing that is absolutely necessary. That is why cultural identity is essential for a society to be recognized in the world. Rob a people of their identity and they become passive, lost, indolent, uncreative, and unproductive. That is what happens when a nation is colonized by another culture. The first objective of a colonizing power is to erase the cultural memory of the conquered people, to induce a collective amnesia about their past and supplant it with the culture of the colonizers. In this lie the roots of Filipino derivativeness and inferiority complex vis-a-vis the West. Let's take a look at our colonial history and understand why we are what we are now. Before colonization, we already had our own cultural identity. So, it's not true what they say in some Western historical books that when the Spaniards came, we had no culture. As a matter of fact, we had our own system of government, we had our own laws, we had our oral tradition and belief systems, and we have the manunggul jar to prove it. When the colonizers came, our identity was destroyed. Our culture was westernized, and we were alienated from our own culture. This is why until now we are still confused about our own culture. We are still in the process of reclaiming, affirming, and defining our own identity in our own terms. We still have a long way to go because even if we are already free from the colonizers, there is an unseen power that is conquering us, destroying us, and making us forget about our culture. And that is globalization and technology. Colonial mentality and inferiority complex made Filipino culture a subordinate of Western culture. We tend to look up to Western culture and make it our standard. This practice alienated us more to our own culture. Our goal and our dream is to make Filipino culture the standard of other cultures. Through the integration of the arts with everyday life, we can do this. We can show our Filipino personhood through the arts. And through the arts, this is possible. We have to undergo the painful process of pagpapakatao and being proud of who we are. Remember the story of the eagle? The arts can provide us with the most vivid images of social relations and cultural values. They are perhaps the most lucid symbols of the people's quality of being or consciousness. Contemplating the arts is like reflecting on the psychic template of an artist or cultural community. We have already overemphasized the importance of art in our humanity and in building cultural identity. But despite that, why are the arts and humanities given the least importance? Let me give an example. If you tell your parents you want to be an artist, how do you think they will react to it? Probably they will discourage you and tell you to look for a career which is more financially stable. Why? I thought we agreed that arts and humanities are important. And even in school, what courses are given priority? Math, science, technology, languages. Where is arts and humanities? Down below the line and given half the time. And in school, we discuss the importance of arts and humanities in making people's lives better. Isn't that ironic? So, what do we do about it? You can share your thoughts and ideas in our writing assignment that follows. Meanwhile, contemplate on that question before you go to sleep tonight. In the next module, we will think of an action project in response to that question. So, that's about it, my fellow human beings. This ends our discussion on Module 4, the Humanities and the Filipino Personhood. If you find this video useful, please like, subscribe to my YouTube channel, The Art of Human Beings Being Humans, and hit that bell button for more videos. And remember, being humans, we become human beings through the arts. Mabuhay!